Hi everyone, Big Pauly back for a brand new video, back for a very special review video. For the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of months actually, the very nice people over at ViaVision and Imprint have sent me some movies to review and to check out, and that's what we're going to do. So I've seen all of this lot, and let's just get into it, and let's start at the top. Okay, so you might notice from time to time my t-shirt changes. That's because I'm watching them and reviewing them straight after I've watched them while they're still fresh in my mind, rather than waiting, you know, like a week or two before reviewing them. But first of all, we're gonna start with Return to Paradise from 1998. This stars Vince Vaughn, Anne Heche and Joaquin Phoenix as well. I've got to say, I've never heard of this film before. It's based on the movie Force Majeure, I think it's called. But I've got to say, this was a fantastic film. I had no knowledge of this film going into it. I didn't know whether I was going to enjoy it or not. I didn't know about the story, although I kind of got an inkling of like prison life back on there and maybe some courtroom stuff on it. But yeah, this was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so the story follows Vince Vaughn, who plays a character called Sheriff, and also Joaquin Phoenix, who plays a character called Lewis. We also have, what's his name? I think it's David Conrad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's David Conrad, and he plays a character called Tony. And these three guys are enjoying themselves out in Malaysia. You know, it's kind of like a backpacking expedition, going to bars, hooking up with some women out there, and just exploring the lovely location in Malaysia, drinking and just basically having fun. After they've had a bit of fun out in Malaysia, Joaquin Phoenix's Lewis decides to stay behind while the other two jet back to America. He wants to fulfill a dream of working with the apes or saving the apes and the gorillas and things like that. So he stays behind in kind of this little hut, this beach front kind of cabin sort of thing, very near the sea. While they were in Malaysia, these guys had a bit of a mishap with a bike that they rented, and when they didn't return it to the renter, he sent the police, and unfortunately the police discovered some drugs in like a big, you know, a container. And that's basically it for Malaysia. And then we kind of fast forward like 2 years. Vince Vaughn's character is a limo driver, and I believe David Conrad's Tony is kind of like a welder or a builder. And all of a sudden they're approached by Anne Heche, who claims to be Lewis's American lawyer, because for the last 2 years Lewis has been in prison. He's been in prison in Malaysia. Sheriff and Tony didn't know about it. They had no idea. Yeah, unfortunately, poor Lewis has been in prison in Malaysia for 2 years. And she wants to get him out because in 8 days they're going to hang him. And she's trying to persuade these two that if they both go back to Malaysia and serve 3 years each, they will release Lewis from prison. Of course, if only one of them goes back, then they've got to serve out 6 years. So the whole film becomes, shall I go? Shan't I go? Why do I want to give up my life here? And it pulls at you because it's like, you know, they were friends and they feel guilty about leaving him there, and they can't leave him to die. They can't leave him to hang. And Anne Heche's character gets a bit closer with Vince Vaughn's Sheriff, and they become a little bit more romantically involved. It's just weighing down on them. You know, they need to go out there. They can't just ignore him and just let him hang, and then they have to try and persuade family members or girlfriends that they have to do it. And it's a tug of war whether or not they'll go or not. Yeah, so that's basically the concept of the film. It's basically told between the 3 different locations. We have the Malaysian location at the beginning where the whole thing was set up from, and then we have New York, we have Brooklyn, where, you know, these 2 guys that went back to America are now getting on with their life, and then we go back to Malaysia and we catch up with Joaquin Phoenix while he's in prison there. And it's a horrible prison, and it's a race against time to see if they can try and save him. Now, I've got to say, this really surprised me. I really enjoyed this film. I think mainly down to the performances. I've got to hand it to him. Vince Vaughn was incredible. He was fantastic and believable. And Hesh, brilliant. You know, we've lost an incredible piece of talent there, and she was fantastic in the film. Joaquin Phoenix really pulled at your heartstrings and made you feel really sorry that he was in that position, and the emotion that he just poured on the screen at the end just was fantastic. It was just fantastic. It was accompanied by a beautiful score as well. I did shed a tear or two through this film. I didn't think this film was gonna give me that much of an emotional impact, but it was such a touching film about relationships, about, you know, about friendship, about whether you should do the right or wrong thing, and it was a great film. I mean, also the picture quality on this is 1998. The picture quality on this was incredible, absolutely incredible, flawless, beautiful. Not just the Malaysian landscapes, but the prison, the dirty, disgusting walls, and the detail in the brickwork, and the flaking paint, and the water on the floor, and also the New York, you know, the Brooklyn landscape as well, and the buildings, the detail in the buildings. You know, this was near 4K quality, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't expecting the picture quality to be that good for a 1998 film like this. So they've done a fantastic job on restoration on this film. The audio as well, fantastic. DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, great surrounds, fantastic dialogue, you know, crisp, clear. The surrounds were good, especially in the prison with dripping water. There was a scene where they were out in the rain and it was just pouring everywhere. So both the audio and the picture quality on this was top notch, absolute top notch. And the film was 1 hour and 52 minutes long. Like I say, it's from 1998. And it does also come with some special features on here, which I'll just read out. So we've got a 1080p high definition presentation from a 4K scan of the original negative. Force majeure directing Return to Paradise, an interview with the director Joseph Rubin, who was fantastic, and this is a 2023 interview with him as well. And we also have A Godless Place, score in Return to Paradise, interview with composer Mark Mancina, 2023 again, so a new interview. Music was fantastic for the film. We've got archival interviews with actors Vince Vaughn, Anne Heche and Joaquin Phoenix from 1998, and also a theatrical trailer as well. And yes, this is from Imprint, and it's a fantastic film. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, there is the actual case itself. There is the spine, and it is Imprint number 209. And there is the back, so you can have a bit of a look there. All the special features there. And we do have some different artwork as well on the actual inlay sleeve. Really nice. So this is kind of like setting up the Malaysian scene at the beginning. Give up 3 years of their lives or give up the life of their friend. They have 8 days to decide. It was kind of an edge of the seat. You was wondering, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it? Is it, is he going to be saved? And there is the back. And we do actually have some inside artwork. So just a Photoshop from the actual film. And we have some artwork on the disc as well. There we go. So yes, fantastic. Yeah, so there we go. So that's Return to Paradise. It's not a film that I would have necessarily gone to. Nothing would have attracted me really. And being a 1998 film, it's kind of like one of those films where, okay, it's been out, it's had its time. Let's move on to other films. But that's a great thing about things like this, that you discover little gems that you never thought that you would ever see. Fantastic. Okay, so there we go. So that is Return to Paradise. This was fantastic, and just opened my eyes a little bit, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, so there we go. So that is Return to Paradise. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next film that I'm going to talk about is Resurrection, starring Ellen Burstyn. Yes, this is Imprint number 203. This is from 1980. It also stars Sam Shepard as well. It's directed by Daniel Petrie. This is it's a bit of a religious film in a way. It's about this woman that is happily married to her husband, and he's about to celebrate his birthday, so she buys him a really nice sports car. Well, back in the day it was. It's a bit bland now. Yeah, they decide to go out for a nice drive, and they get into a bit of a mishap at the top of like a cliffside road, and unfortunately the car goes off the cliff. Yeah, we're not talking about just flying into some bushes. It literally flies off a bloody cliff, crashes down, and just crashes into hundreds and hundreds of pieces, and just rolls and rolls and rolls until it hits all the rocks at the bottom. And there is no way in hell that anybody would survive that. Her husband unfortunately didn't survive. She got banged up. She had problems with her spine. She couldn't feel anything below her waist. And gradually, over a little bit of time, she started to get the feeling back, and she managed to get back to normal. She had to use crutches for a while. But she kind of had all these visions when she was sleeping, and she had these visions of like a black tunnel with a bright light at the end of it, and these people kind of like walking around. And it becomes apparent that she can actually start to heal people. And she returns to a town, a childhood town, with her father and her grandma. And she meets up with lots of friends and people that she's known years ago. And she starts to heal people around the area. News gets out, and she starts to get some gatherings. And she put it down not to divine intervention, but put it down to love, that she has the ability to heal people. She's also had trouble with her father in the past. He comes across as maybe a little bit abusive back in the day, and they've lost connection. They kind of like don't really talk to each other much, haven't seen each other for a long time, and it's kind of maybe a chance for them to reconnect, but it doesn't really work out. But yeah, so this is all about healing and faith and love, and that's basically it. As I say, it's kind of a religious film in a way, with all the healing and that, and everybody's praying, and with the tunnel and lots of talk of God and that. So yeah, it was an interesting film. Yeah, it was okay. I think the concept has been done before. It's been done in other movies, but it was an okay film. It is an hour and 43 minutes long. Unfortunately, the audio was only 2.0, so it's just a mono audio. What got me was the picture on this, though. The picture quality altered during the film. It wasn't a solid, clean picture. There was a lot of grain. There was a lot of grain throughout the film. It was quite kind of heavy throughout the film, but in certain areas it was really, really heavy and noticeable. And it wasn't the best picture quality, unfortunately. So I don't know how previous versions of this looked, but it kind of reminded me of the scene in the original Superman movie on Krypton, and it was really grain, really deep grain, and all you could see for miles was grain. So yeah, it wasn't the best picture, unfortunately, but it was a good story. It was a good story, and nothing special about the audio, because it was a very down-to-earth, you know, drama. There are special features on here, though. 1080p high definition presentation from a new 2K scan by Universal Studios. Audio commentary by author and the film historian Lee Gambin of 2023, so that's a new audio commentary. We've got The Choice of Love, an interview with actress Ellen Burstyn, 2023 as well. Born to be Wild, Resurrection and the Rise of the Divine Feminine, a video essay by film historian Kat Ellinger, 2023, so that's a new feature as well, plus a theatrical trailer as well. So yeah, so there is the box. There is the spine, and it's a little bit difficult to read what the title is. I mean, now when you know the film's called Resurrection, you can actually see it. But when I first got this, I was like, "What the hell does that say?" So yeah, maybe they should have used a different font. Anyway, let's take that out. There's the slipcase, and we do have some different artwork there. So that's quite a good scene, actually, when she's trying to heal someone that's been, you know, totally kind of paralysed and having to live with this horrible condition for all her life. There's the spine, and there's the back. And there's some inside artwork. That's Ellen Burstyn, and that's Sam Shepard there. And just the one disc, of course, with some artwork on. There we go. Okay, yeah, so that is Resurrection. That's Imprint number 203. It was an interesting film. It did keep my attention. It was a little bit slow in some places, but it was an interesting story. So yeah. Okay, so next up is Oh Sleep When I'm Dead. Yes, starring Clive Owen. This is Imprint number 206, and this is from 2003. This is a bit of a gangster film, but it doesn't have a whole lot of gangster stuff in it. Basically, Clive Owen, who plays Will, he was a big time gangster, and he's kind of like brushed that life to one side. He lives now in a forest, doing odd job works, cutting branches and doing some construction work, but he's just left that to one side. It's mainly set around, you know, London, and he gets brought back into the gangster field because his younger brother, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who's a small-time drug pusher. You know, he goes from party to party, pushing drugs and that. Unfortunately, commits suicide. And yeah, Will comes back to find out, you know, what pushed him to this. Why did he commit suicide? And it's down to Malcolm McDowell, who you think is going to be kind of like a rival drug lord or a rival gangster boss, but he's really nobody. He's just like a yuppie that got an expensive house, but he follows Jonathan Rhys-Meyers' character home, and they basically grab him, take him to this building. Malcolm McDowell basically buggers him up the bum. Yes. We don't really get any explanation why. It's because he can. And of course he can't live with the shame of that, so he commits suicide. And then that's what brings Clive Owen back into the view. And it's about him going after... It's more of an investigation film as well, you know. Goes to talk to people, find out, you know, where he's been, who he's been hanging out with, and even getting the medical people to, you know, to look further into any reason why he committed suicide. So it's a little bit of a gangster film, actually. It's not much, but it's a little bit. Clive Owen really doesn't show any of that gangster, though. You'd think that after your younger brother, you know, is basically buggered, and commit suicide, that you'd go after these people and we'd see the brutal side of Clive Owen. But no, he's a pussycat. He just calmly walks from here to there, calmly has a conversation. You know, he's trying to leave that side behind, but there's just nothing coming out of him. There's just nothing, unlike his brother where everything was going in him. but yeah, there's just no gangster boss in this man anymore. It's gone. So that was a bit disappointing, actually. That was a bit disappointing. Malcolm McDowell's in it fleetingly. You know, he's not in it very often. Probably about, I don't know, 7 minutes screen time in the entire film. What's her name? Charlotte Rampling's in it as well. She plays Will's ex-girlfriend, I think. But yeah, it was okay. There's much better gangster films, especially set in London. It was just okay. It was just okay. It was nothing special. Yeah, I was expecting a lot better, actually. You know, a gangster film set in London. An old gangster coming out of retirement to avenge the death of his younger brother. Sounds good, but it's not the film that we got, unfortunately. But anyway, it is what it is. There we go. So I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. It does have some special features there. 1080p high definition presentation, audio commentary by director Mike Hodges, who also directed one of my favourite films of the 80s, Flash. Yes, Flash Gordon. And also audio commentary by writer Trevor Preston. Mike Hodges and I'll Sleep When I'm Dead documentary, and 2 deleted scenes, one with optional audio commentary by Mike Hodges and Trevor Preston, and theatrical trailer. It's from 2003 and it's an hour and 43 minutes. The audio is DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Now the picture quality on this was really good, nice and clean, and minimal grain. So yeah, really good picture quality on this one. Not as good as Return to Paradise, but nowhere near as bad as Resurrection. But it was a really nice clean transfer on this one. Fantastic. So there we go. So there is the box. There is the spine and the back. As I say, it's imprint number 206. Okay, we get different artwork there on the case. And let's just take this out. And there's a photo there from the film. That's Clive Owen, who plays Will, the ex-gangster. Like I say, he's living in the forest, but he's actually living in a camper van as well. So he's given up all, you know, all his worldly possessions, and he's just living out of the back of a camper van now. As you can see, he's a bit of a Hermit, yeah. And there is the disc as well. Okay, fantastic. So there we go. So that is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead with Clive Owen. Not as gangstery as I was hoping, but there you go. You can't have everything. But how would I rate this on a scale of 1 to 10? Like I say, I've seen a lot better gangster movies. There are a lot better gangster movies set in London. I was hoping for more, but it just wasn't gangster enough for me, unfortunately. But that is I'll Sleep When I'm Dead. Okay, next up we have Fear is the Key. Yes, from 1972. This is imprint number 195, and it stars Barry Newman. For those who are familiar with the Petrocelli TV series back in the 70s, that's him. Yeah, it also stars Susie Kendall as well, and also Ben Kingsley with lots of hair. Yeah, I've never seen Ben Kingsley that young before, and I believe when this came out, he didn't appear again on cinema screens for another 10 years, you know, when Gandhi came out. And yeah, this was an interesting film. I'm just going to read a bit of the synopsis on the back. So following the death of his family in an aeroplane crash, underwater salvage expert John Talbot, who's Barry Newman, hatches an elaborate scheme to bring those responsible to justice. His exploits attract the attention of the criminal mastermind behind his family's demise, who hires him to recover the valuables aboard a recently crash-landed plane. So that's basically the synopsis. But if you don't go into the film reading that, it's a bit of a cat and mouse chase. I didn't read that. And I didn't know what was going on. First of all, you hear at the beginning, you hear a plane crashing over a CB radio, and then there's a half-hour car chase, you know, that would fit in anywhere with Dukes of Hazzard or Starsky and Hutch or French Connection. That lasts for 30 minutes, and then you got a bit of courtroom action, and John shoots a couple of cops. He gets caught again. He gets taken to this big house where Susie Kendall's dad is supposed to be a big oil tycoon, and they want to hire him to go down and retrieve the valuables in this plane that was shot down. So that's basically it. But if you don't read the synopsis, you kind of don't realise what's going on until at least about an hour and 5 minutes into the film, which is what happened in my case. Because I really didn't know where it was going. You know, it was a kidnap plot. It was just a criminal on the run. There's car chases. But what was the purpose of the film? What was the purpose of the story other than evading the police? Yeah, so that actually gives you a nice insight into the film. Now, the car chases were really good. Very well staged. Straight out of a 70s TV series or straight out of a 70s movie. A bit of like James Bond thrown in there as well, with some, you know, flipping of cars up banks and smashing into cars into like lakes and that, and it's set in Louisiana as well. So it is a bit of a fast-paced film, you know, especially with the car chases and everything. It was good watching this character, trying to get to the bottom of what really happened to his family. And it's a bit weird in a way, because the day I watched it was actually the day that they announced that the submarine that went down to the Titanic, you know, they found the debris, and there is a submersible at the end of this film. So that's a bit weird as well. I also just learnt as well that Barry Newman himself actually died last month, May 2023. I think he was about 92 or 93. So yes, very strange that I just put this on now and read that. But all in all, it was a good film. It was a good car chase, thriller, whodunit kind of film. Very 70s, and a good 70s soundtrack as well, with your over elaborate orchestra music. But all in all, yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought it was an okay film. There are lots of special features on here, just like the other Imprint movies, including an audio commentary by film historian Kim Newman and author Sean Hogan. That's a 2022 documentary. That's rather an audio commentary. Producing the action, an interview with associate producer Gavik Losey, 2022 as well. You've got Bayou to Bray, interviews with the cast and crew featurette, 2022, and also theatrical trailer. As I say, 1972, it's an hour and 45 minutes. It is in 2.0 mono. So, yeah, no surrounds or anything like that. But the soundtrack is good. The dialogue is good. It's a bit punchy with the subwoofer on. But I don't really feel that the surrounds would have done much, because it wasn't that type of film. Maybe the only thing you would have got with the surrounds is maybe when they're on the submersible and you'd have all the ocean around you. Yeah, but yeah, that was good. Picture quality was pretty solid. There was a very thin layer of grain, but it was a clean film for 1972, so it's 1080p high definition presentation by Studio Canal. There was grain more noticeable in the dark scenes, especially at the night scenes as well. But all in all, I had a good time with it. I thought it was pretty good. Now, this film is actually based on a story by Alistair MacLean, and I wasn't familiar with it, but I think it's kind of they were kind of trying to do a Bond thing. Maybe it's kind of low key budget Bond in certain areas, but yeah, all in all, I thought it was a good film. Okay, so let's have a look at the package before I give you my rating. So there is the box, nice glossy box there, and then we have the spine and the back, and there is the artwork there, different artwork. In the right hands, fear is the deadliest weapon of all. And then there's the back. And then there is a photo from the film there. And we have the disc there with some nice artwork on. Fantastic. Okay, so there we go. So that is Fear is the Key, number 195 on the Imprint label. It was a good, gripping story. Kept me guessing along the way, especially if you don't read the synopsis on the back. Some good action scenes, a fantastic sequence of car chases that spans about a half an hour, some good shootouts, and also a mystery as well. Yeah, fantastic. So there we go. So that is Fear is the Key. Okay, so next up, Sundown. I don't really know where to begin with this. 1967, I think it was supposed to be set in the late 40s, and it stars Michael Caine, who's this property developer in the deep south in America, and he's got all this land, he's buying all these land plots, and he needs to buy a few more land plots. This is not good. This was not good. This was boring. I couldn't stick with this. This was so boring. 40 minutes into the film, nothing had happened. Boring. Yeah, I mean, it's got a good cast. I mean, let's talk about Michael Caine in a minute. We've got Jane Fonda. We have Faye Dunaway, Burgess Meredith, who even in this film looked like his head was going to explode. I don't know what it is with Burgess Meredith. Whatever he's in, it's like his head is so red and his veins are about to pop, and he's always angry in every role. even as the Penguin. Michael Caine. Some things in life should never be changed. For instance, Michael Caine's accent. Now, I don't know what kind of accent he was trying to do in there. It sounds like it was kind of an American Deep South accent. But Michael Caine is Michael Caine. His accent is recognisable throughout the world. He doesn't need to put on a fake accent. It's the same with Sean Connery. Okay, he played a Russian submarine pilot or captain in Hunt for Red October. He was still Sean Connery. Yeah, it didn't work. The accent did not work. He shouldn't have done it. Also, he wasn't a very likeable character in this. You know, I've seen him in lots of films, but for this, he was just dull and uninteresting. And yeah. Yeah, I found it really boring. 1967. That's probably why, personally, I don't go to the older type of film. You know, I'm not expecting explosions on every film or spaceships or something like that, but it's got to have a really interesting story, and it's got to hook. It's got to catch you. You know, I'm the fish. I'm on the end of the fishing rod. You know, it's got to hook you. And this was like, oh God, like much longer. That's another thing. It's 2.5 hours long. It's way too long for this type of film. And it was very uninteresting. So, yeah, unfortunately, this one didn't do it for me. Just boring. But hey, that's just me. I mean, if you love it, that's brilliant. That's perfectly fine. But it's just not what I'm used to. And, you know, you give things a go, but then you realise that, nah, don't work. But anyway, that's Hurry Sundown. Picture quality from what I watched. It was okay. There was grain. There was a lot of distortion in the picture. There was a lot of like white speckles and like hairs and things like that. So it wasn't a brilliant picture. And it was only in DTS HD. No, it wasn't even in that. It was in just 2.0 mono. Yeah, it's 1967. The film's 2 hours and 22 minutes. Too long. It does come with special features on the back there, which I will read them out for you. 1080p high definition presentation from a 2K scan. Audio commentary by film historian Damien Kremer, featuring actor Robert Hooks. The Great Ecstasy of Tree Climber Otto, because this is based on a book, I believe. Or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Late Preminga. Video essay by historian Damien Kremer. Directed by Otto Preminger, and appreciation by Peter Bogdanovich, and a theatrical trailer. So there's the artwork. There is the spine, and it is imprint number 202. And there we go. There's the back. We do have a different artwork on the disc, because this is also a bit of a race film as well. So it is a bit racy compared with what you can, you know, get away with now. But this was 1967, and there we go. And we get some picture in there, and we also get the same artwork from the box on the inside. So yes, there we go. So that is Hurry Sundown. It just didn't work for me, this one. I found it too dull, too boring, and a completely unnecessary accent by Michael Caine. But there we go. I mean, it looks nice on the Deep South, but it just wasn't for me. There we go. So that is Hurry Sundown. Okay, so next up we have one of the greatest science fiction films of the 90s. Yes, Stargate, directed by Roland Emmerich, and starring Kurt Russell and James Spader and Jay Davison. Now, this film, this is my sort of thing. I love Stargate. I always have. It's just it kind of gives you that, in a way, Indiana Jones vibe to it. You know, this is a story of this ancient device that was found in the 1920s near the pyramids in Egypt. And the military have been studying it for years. And it's only when they invite Daniel Jackson, James Spader, to come and help decipher some of the symbols on this device, that we get to see the Stargate in action. And it's a device that enables you to travel thousands of light years across the galaxy to distant planets. And it was also, made into a fantastic TV show that ran for, I think it was 9 or 10 seasons, I think it was. There was also Stargate Atlantis and, of course, Stargate Universe, which I didn't really feel was necessary. It didn't have that adventurous feel in Universe. But anyway, let's talk a little bit more about this film. So there are 2 editions on this. We have the regular edition and we also have the extended cut. There's not much difference in the time. The theatrical is 2 hours and 1 minute and the extended is 2 hours and I think it's 8 minutes, so an extra 7 minutes. It just throws an extra bit of dialogue in there, and it also gives you that introduction to the character of Ra and how he took control of Jay Davison's character so that he could sustain his alien life as his race was dying. So yes, so we have James Spader, who's this brilliant Egyptologist. Yes, that's a word and a half. Yeah, and they also bring in, they've got to have some military. And they bring in Kurt Russell for the military. They're going to lead this expedition through the Stargate into this other galaxy and find out where it comes out. And Kurt Russell's character, Jack O'Neill, is in a state of depression at the start of the film. A tragedy happened with his son and he feels like that's the end. He's pulled back into duty and he has to take a military unit through the Stargate with Daniel, establish what's on the other side and eliminate any threat. So this is a fantastic science fiction film. I always thought there would be a sequel. I really hope they don't do a sequel, because look what happened to Independence Day Resurgence. Yeah, we didn't really need that. But this is action, adventure. It's got some fantastic visuals. The Stargate itself is fantastic. The beautiful design of it with the symbols all the way around it. When it comes into action, we've got some great cast. We've got Eric Avari, who's on the other side of the Stargate. We have the characters of Shuri, who Daniel falls in love with, and Skara as well. And also French Stewart as well from the Third Rock from the Sun. So a great lineup in this film. They may not be huge A-listers, but it's the characters themselves. They're so interesting. And I'm not really familiar with anything that Jay Davison has done in the past. But he was fantastic as Ra. I thought he captured that kind of mysterious evilness of this alien inhabiting a human body, and he carried it perfectly. Apparently he retired after making Stargate, so maybe it was a little bit too much for him. But yeah, everything is great in this film. The special effects are fantastic. The music, I always loved the music. David Arnold did a fantastic score for this film. He also did the Godzilla 1998 and the Independence Day. Such a memorable score for that as well. He also did a couple of Bond films as well, with the Pierce Brosnan ones. I don't think he's really done much noticeable. You know, he was forefront at one point in the 90s, a big David Arnold score, but he seems to just lend his talents like behind the composer now. You know, he does producing and things like that. So yeah, it's unfortunate we don't get any really big memorable David Arnold scores these days. But yeah, anyway, there we go. That is Stargate. Now, I did watch the extended version of the film. I think it's probably the only version that I'm ever going to bother watching again, you know, because it just gives that little extra bit at the beginning, setting up the character of Ra. Picture quality was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was clean. There was a little bit of dust, you know, a little bit of fine dirt, grain rather. But it doesn't really matter because it is set mostly in the desert, so it mixes well with the sand. Yeah, and the sound in this is fantastic. It is a DTS HD Master Audio 7.1. It sounded fantastic. There was a lot of use of the bass when the Stargate came to life, and we got the tunnel. It was fantastic with the surrounds hitting behind you. The attacking ships overhead in the desert were fantastic as well, and it was a really punchy soundtrack. So on this, the picture quality and the sound quality was definitely top notch. Okay, so there we go. So there is Stargate, and that is the Ultimate Edition. This is from ViaVision. There we go. So let's just show you the spine there. And then there we have the back. We've got some nice information on there, and we also have lots of special features in there as well. All the credits down the bottom. Special features include the audio commentary by writer-director Roland Emmerich and writer-producer Dean Devlin, Deciphering the Gate, Concepts and Casting featurette, Opening the Gate, the Making of the Movie featurette. We got Passing Through the Gate, the Legacy featurette. Is There a Stargate featurette? We have the Making of Stargate documentary, original Stargate previews, B-roll footage, gag reel, theatrical trailer, picture-in-picture Stargate Ultimate Knowledge. So absolutely fantastic amounts of special features there as well. And yeah, as I say, this is in DTS HD Master Audio 7.1. This is 1994 as well, when Stargate first came out. So there we go. So we also have the title on the top there. So there is the nice slip box. Very nice it is as well. Love the designs on this. Always liked this design of Stargate. And there's the inside. And replicated on the back there as well. And we do get some inside artwork. If I just take, or an inside photo rather, let me just take that disc out. So inside you get a picture of Daniel and Jack there on the desert, looking at the encampment, I believe, or either looking at the pyramid on the other side, where the Stargate is, where they came through. Okay, and we do get two discs. We get them on a swing tray. So we get the original theatrical cut there, and then we have the extended cut. Fantastic. So yes, for any science fiction fans out there, if you love your space, you like your adventure, kind of like Indiana Jones and that type of thing, then this is definitely a film for you, and will always remain as one of the greatest science fiction adventure films, you know, ever made. Back in the 90s. So there we go. So that is Stargate. This is the Ultimate Edition with both the theatrical cut and also the extended cut. So you get both in the same package. Definitely recommend picking this up if you can. Hunt it out, you know, buy it from ViaVision to get the full package. But there we go. That is Stargate from 1994. Okay, so let's talk about the next one up. This is Uptight. Yes, I know a few of those people. Yeah, this is from Jules Dassin, or Dassin. production. Yeah. This is from 1968. This is imprint number 221. This is, I think, what you would call, is it blaxploitation? It's set after the death of Martin Luther King, and it's all about these black communities in like disarray and trying to come to terms with what's happened. And there's a lot of mistrust between these communities and how they're living. I kind of phased out of this film. I can understand the importance of it, you know, so far as the black communities and how they must have been feeling after the death of one of their massive leaders, you know, that was moulding them and taking them forward. But yeah, I kind of phased out of this one. It was just okay. It was just okay to me. It's deep. It gets really deep in racial problems and yeah. I mean, I'll read what it says on the back. It says, in the days after the assassination of Martin Luther King, an unemployed and itinerant steelworker turns over his militant friend to the police for a $1,000 reward, resulting in an underground all-points bulletin to exact vengeance on the squealer. Yeah, so there's a lot of like betrayal as well, and I don't know. It's just it just didn't click. It just didn't click with me. It didn't click with me. But as I say, there's a lot of it's a very hard film. It's a very hard film. Yeah. So yeah, I can't really say anything more about it. I will say that the picture quality on it was really good though. You know, for a 1968 film, it was clean, really clean. The audio was in 2.0 mono, and it's 144 minutes. And as I say, it's 1968. It does come with special features there, so I'll read those out. So we've got a 1080p high definition presentation of a 2019 4K scan from the original camera negative by Paramount Pictures. We have an audio commentary by film historians Elaine Silver and Jim Assini. That's a 2023 audio commentary. Film critic writer Christina Newland on Uptight, so that's a new documentary, and elective visitides, I think that says, The Racial Exiles of Jules Dassin. A video essay by film historian Daniel Kramer, 2023. So yeah, so quite a bit on there. So let's just have a look at it. It does come with a nice, you know, a nice presentation. I mean, it does look a bit bland, but when you realise what the film's about and its content, then that fits perfectly in with the actual film. And there we go. We have a bit more a different picture there. And I believe we do have some artwork inside, or a photo of one of the scenes. Yeah, not too good to make out there. And I checked this up on IMDb, and apparently there's not one cast member of this entire film that's actually alive now. Apparently everybody has you know, passed on now. But anyway, there we go. So that is Uptight from 1968. That is imprint number 221. It just wasn't for me, but that's not to say that it's, you know, it might not be for you. But if you like the kind of like the true story element and diving into America's past racial problems and everything revolving around Martin Luther King, then it might be for you. So, you know, give it a go. But unfortunately, this one wasn't for me. But presentation, picture quality, they were spot on. So they did a really good job with that one. Okay, so next up, we have The Killer Elite. Yes, starring James Caan and Robert Duvall. And this is imprint number 192 and comes in this really nice box. Really sturdy, glossy box with a really weird lid. Yes, I'm really liking these. Yes, fantastic. Okay, so let me just take this out first of all. Okay, and what we get in here, we actually get two. So we get two different versions. We also have the sheet there, so that's handy. Okay, and this is from 1975. We've got two versions. We have the original theatrical cut, and we also have the alternate theatrical cut as well. So I watched the original theatrical cut, so be interesting to see what's different on the alternate one. It does come with lots of special features on there. So a little quick synopsis of the story. Robert Duvall and James Caan are a couple of hitmen, and they don't work for the CIA. They kind of work for a private offshoot company that the CIA employ. You know, they don't want to do any dirty work, get someone else to do it for you. And Robert Duvall's character gets a better job offer, and he shoots his mate James Caan. Yeah, he just shoots him. Yeah, not for the kill, he wounds him, he retires him. One in the elbow, one in the leg. And that sends James Caan to the hospital. And for like 20 to 25 minutes of the film at the beginning, we see James Caan's progression as he's having operations, you know, laying in a hospital bed, trying to walk, trying to use his arm, going through all this exercises and therapy to try and get him up, you know, on his legs again. Now, once he's a little bit better, the organisation wants James Caan to protect a couple of Japanese, I don't exactly know what they are. I don't think they're political. It's kind of like they don't really say what they are. Yeah, revolutionaries, I don't know. And he has to protect them, and Robert Duvall, of course, is coming after them and wants to take the leader out. It's a typical kind of 1970s film. There is a nice car chase. I mean, you can't get better than a 1970s car chase through the streets of San Francisco. So that was pretty good, with all the, you know, Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. So that was pretty good. There's some good shoot-ups. And towards the end, there's a very slow martial arts ass kicking. Yeah, it's kind of done in slow motion. And you've got all these like ninjas, I don't know, a dozen ninjas, all attacking in slow motion, and then just shoot them all. It's a wasted opportunity there. They could have put some really nice martial arts action in it. But there is a bit of sword play at the end of the film. So yeah, it's basically, you know, one hitman against another, trying to outdo him and trying to protect their assets, basically. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't a bad film. Like I say, it's your typical 70s film, so it can be a little bit drawn out at times, a little bit slow. The action wasn't over the top. There was just enough action, but I thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. Okay, so yes, the Killer Elite. Right, okay, so as I say, there is the box. Lovely box there. Picture of James Caan on the back there. And then we have this piece, which actually goes on the back of the box. This is a limited edition 2-disc of the original and alternate theatrical cuts, plus a host of new exclusive special features. And I won't read out all those special features because there is a lot, but there they are. So there's a ton there. Brilliant. Okay, and it's, as I say, it's 1975. So the original theatrical cut is 2 hours and 3 minutes, and the alternate theatrical cut is 1 hour and 56 minutes. So a couple of minutes shorter on the alternate theatrical cut. I mean, if you've seen that version, put it down in the comments. I'm not sure maybe what's been cut out or what's missing. Unfortunately, it is a 2.0 mono, so yeah, not too much of a soundtrack actually. There was really no punch to the soundtrack, you know, no bass in the subwoofer and just the fronts. So a bit of anti-climax on the sound. Picture quality was really good for the 70s. So it's a nice clean cut. What are they saying here? It's a 1080p high definition presentation by MGM. Yeah, the picture quality was really good. Just a minimal layer of grain. So let's have a look at these. So these are the two that come with it. So we have the original theatrical cut there. And then we have all the special features on the back. And then we get a scene from the end of the film with the slow motion ninjas. Okay. Yeah. And there is the disc. So that's the original theatrical cut. Then we have the alternate theatrical cut, so some different artwork on there. And then we have just a picture of James Caan there. And we also have some different artwork, which is mimicking the front. So there we go. Yes, so two different versions there, whichever one you want to watch. I might watch the other one sometime just to find out exactly what's on there, but you can always save me my time and just let me know. But yes, this is a really nice thick box. So as I say, this was normally stuck to the back like that, but I took the glue off and put it inside, and both go inside like that. Very nice. So there we go. Yes, that is the Killer Elite, number 192. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay. 1970s. It's a typical 1970s action conspiracy film, but it was an okay film. So yeah, it was all right. Okay, so there we go. So that is some latest releases that were sent to me by the lovely people over at Imprint and ViaVision, and I had a good time with some of those. And yeah, very interesting little selection there. There will be a few others coming as well very soon. I do have a couple of others which I'll do another video for. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it by giving it some thumbs up. Blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to subscribe, comment and share. And I'll see you on the next video very soon. Bye bye.